Welcome to Robin's house. Today I'm working on the Gingerbread Cards with Robin workshop, and this one heavily focuses on heat embossing. So I just wanted to go over heat embossing with you. So this one is an extra special workshop in that the die cut for the gingerbread men have them holding hands. And so on this card, for example, I cut out the gingerbread man, and then I cut his little arm, and then I was able to cut out this gingerbread man. And since I was planning on having a bite taken out of him, it didn't matter to me that his little hand is a little bit ruined. So I'm just going to show you that real quick. And then I also want to talk a little bit about, you may notice in my workshop that almost all of my cards have the same little face on there. And that is because I am a lazy crafter, and it was too hard for me to go between all the different images and change it up. So what I did is I set up my gingerbread man. Now I put him on the block by putting a man down and then peeling off the gingerbread outline and dropping him into the outline so that I could get him nice and even. And then I pressed that shape into the block. So that way I know when I set him down, he's going to fit perfectly in the space that the die cut takes up. And then I worked on his little face and his little buttons. So in this stamp set, the faces are really, really close, like the little eyeballs. The mouth is pretty much right in with the eyeballs, and I didn't care for that. So I cut my eyes away from my mouth so I could put them where I felt that they belonged on the face. And then I shoved his little hair into the space at the top of his head. And then I put the two little buttons, and I did cut those apart because on one or two of the cards, I used this bottom button for his mouth to say, "Oh no, I just got bitten off." So I did do that to alter my stuff a little bit. But as you can see, so some of them have two buttons. Some of them have the peppermints on top of the buttons. Some of them have just peppermints for buttons. And I put some gumdrops over the top of the buttons. And so you can vary yours as much as you wish, but that is how I set mine up. Okay, now for the embossing part. So you always should have a little pillow where you take the static off of your pillow. And then we've got our Versamark. So this is kind of a sticky glue that you would use to make the embossing powder stick to your shape. And then we're going to stick this right down onto our little gingerbread man. Try to center it. I have to look almost through my phone in order to see this, but here we go. And then I'm also not on a flat surface, so I'm going to take this and move it around a little bit. I've got his friend underneath. Move this around a little bit so I can make sure all the spaces get some glue. There we go. And then the fun part. I love this part. You take your craft tray, and we have embossing wow powder. I think it's $20, and you get a white, a black, and a clear. And so far, I have been super impressed with this embossing powder. It's nice and bright and white. And you just take it and drop it onto, you can be as neat or as messy as you want to, whatever you're happy to clean up later. Some people do it on a piece of paper so that they can put that into a cone shape and dump it right back into the jar. I obviously don't do that. So once you've got your space likely nice and covered, make sure you get all the edges because sometimes it goes a little closer to the edge than you think. And then I kind of tap it off so that as it goes, it passes by more spots. And then I put it upside down and shake off as much as I can. And then I take my brush and hit any places that have a little bit more than I would wish. So this one did a pretty good job. Flick it one last time, set this aside, and I've got my heat gun. Now this exact one is kind of nice because I have a handle to hold on to my thing as I'm heating it. So I start in one corner and I wait. This is my favorite part. I adore heat embossing because I love watching this part where it just turns into a solid shiny line. And you don't want to hover. Once it shines up, you want to move along, because if you stay too long, you will burn your project. And you'll know that you've burned it because it is now flat instead of raised and shiny. And it is also going to yellow / orange. So look at this nice design. I should have scissors. I don't have my craft scissors. So what I did is, if I wanted this for the single man, I would just try to cut it off right in line with the other. And then if you want to watch me do this again, I'm certainly happy to. Otherwise, you can shut the video off. But in order to create this second man, you cut off his fingers and we do it all again. Oh, I didn't, oop, yep, I didn't do the pillow. I always forget the pillow. Don't forget the pillow. Because when you forget the pillow, you'll get the powder in places you don't want it to stick. And that is no fun at all. You have to do it all over. So here we go. We're doing the other side, and we don't even care that he's missing the tip because we're going to have him bitten off. And I love embossing, so we're just going to do it twice. Now this one's a little trickier because there's not going to be anywhere to hold him when you heat it. So one thing you could do is hold his feet while you're using the heat gun on his head. You can also get some tweezers to help you get your fingers out of the way a little bit. I don't have good luck setting it on the table and just shooting it on the table. It doesn't stay, and it doesn't heat correctly. So keeping it flat, to me, is not an option. So we're going to shake off this excess, flick it a little bit to get stuff flying, get this out of the way of the heat gun. I'm going to heat it up again. Again, stick it on one end and heat it till it turns. Can you see it turning shiny? I just love that. I hope I'm not burning the project below it while I'm doing this. So it's almost time for me to move over to his head so that I can do his feet. Oh, I just love this. I love embossing. I love that this whole workshop is made of embossing, and it's so cute and so shiny and so bright and white. It's just going to make some adorable little cards, and I hope that you will take advantage. So thank you so much for watching. Happy crafting.